All right, so this video is for lesson 1.5 homework. So the first part of this is important. We're factoring. And we're going to use factoring later on. What it is, it's like reverse distributive property. So number one, 8x minus 24. What I'm looking for when it tells me to factor this, I'm looking for a common factor. So what number will go into 8 and 24? 8. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to divide this by 8. I'm going to divide this by 8. So and I'm going to go ahead and write my answer here just so you can see it. So that means I'm going to put an 8, and then I'm going to open up parentheses. Again, this is reverse distributive property. So what happens when I do 8 divided by 8? It's 1, so it cancels, right? So I'm just left with an x. All right, negative 24 divided by 8. What is that? Negative 3. That's it. That's the answer. And you can check your answer by using the distributive property. 8 times x is 8x. 8 times negative 3 is negative 24. I should be able to work a full circle. But it's just it's one of those odd things. We've been practicing distributive property, and now I'm showing you how to undo it. All right, number 3, 12x plus 22. All right, what number will go into 12 and 22? What's the easiest number that we know? 2. So we know that we're going to have a 2 here. All right, divide by 2, divide by 2. All right, what's 12 divided by 2? So 6, and that one's got an x, so I got to keep that x. And then what's 22 divided by 2? 11. And again, if you need to work back the other direction to check, 2 times 6x is 12x. 2 times 11, 22. Just make sure that you end where you began. So this one would be 2 times 6x plus 11. All right, number 5. Negative 20x minus 5y. All right, what's a common factor there? 5. So we know we're going to have a 5 here. All right, what's negative 20 divided by 5? Negative 4. Tack the x on. All right, negative 5 divided by 5. This cancels out, but that negative sign doesn't. Okay, this one is not fully factored. What do these terms, negative 4x and negative y, what do they have in common? The negative, which means I can factor out, let's do it this way, a negative 1. Okay? So to do that, I have to combine it with this. What's 5 times negative 1? Negative 5. So what this would look like would be something like this, and then you would open up parentheses. But if you simplify this down, negative 1 times 5 is a negative 5. All right, so if I divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1. What does dividing by negative 1 do? Not positive. Not just positive. What if it's already positive? Does it stay positive? It changes the sign. So negative 4x becomes positive 4x. negative y becomes positive y. And again, you can check. Negative 5 times 4x is negative 20x. Negative 5 times y, negative 5y. So negative 5, 4x plus y. So if both terms are negative, you've got to factor out that negative sign. We're going to do number 6 as well. I'm really not going to leave you much to do on your own today, just because I don't like this lesson. X squared plus 6x. What do those two things have in common? X. Okay, X. That's what's going to factor out. So, we're going to divide both of these by X. Now, X squared, to visually show you what this looks like. X squared is just X times X. And then if I divide it by X, if I have the same thing on the top and the bottom, they cancel each other out. So X squared divided by X is just an X. Then 6X divided by X, this X, cancels that. So it's just a 6. Okay, so that's factoring. I'm only leaving you 2 that you got to factor on your own. 7, we're dividing. Dividing is the same thing that we've been doing. It says 15x plus 42 divided by 3. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to divide the 15x by 3 and the 42 by 3. And then you can do each piece in your calculator. So if I do 15 divided by 3, I get a 5, keep the x, and then 42 divided by 3, I get a 14. Again, it's working backwards from what we've been doing. So this one, 5x plus 14. You're going to do number 8. I'm going to work both 9 and 10 because these are the questions I don't like. Again, they've never shown up on an EOC. So you're only going to have 3 problems to work. All right. Fractions are just division problems. Whatever is on the top of the fraction goes underneath the division bracket. Whatever's on the bottom of the fraction goes outside of it. So now we're not just dividing by a number, we're dividing by an expression. So what you do is you look at the first terms, x and 9x. Just like regular division. X times what gives me 9x? X times 9. So I'm going to put a 9 here. And then just like when you did long division by hand in 4th and 5th grade, multiply the pieces. 9 times x is 9x. 9 times 4 is 36. Here's where it screws kids up. Remember when you did regular old division, right? 20 divided by 4. And you went 4 goes into 20 5 times. 4 times 5 is 20. And then we subtracted it, right? And you got a 0 here. Well, you have to do the same thing. You have to subtract this. But what that does is it makes the 9x a negative, and it makes the positive 36 a negative. It flips the sign of every piece. 9x minus 9x, 0. 36 minus 36, 0. So my answer is just a 9. I will look, but I may have put 1 on the test for this unit. That's like this, okay? All right, number 10. They want you to go as far as writing these with remainders, which is silly. Okay. 7x and 14x. 7x times what gives me 14x? 2. All right, 7x times 2, 14x. 9 times 2 is 18. But remember, we got to subtract these pieces. So if that had been a negative 18, we would have made it positive. So 14x minus 14x, that cancels. What's 28 minus 18? 10. Well, 7x won't go into 10 because there's no x. So to write it with remainder, whatever's left over, you make a fraction out of. Whatever's left over goes on top. The piece that was outside goes on bottom. So your answer there would be, 2 and 10 over 7x plus 9. Now, you do have a quiz tomorrow, but it is just factoring like this, and I think there's one division problem like this. There's none like this on there, okay? So you've got 3 questions left. If you need to finish your quiz and you want to knock that out first, come grab that from me. We have got, it's 9:59, we've got about 10 minutes.